This is Cammie Mansfield, Interpretive Resources Project Coordinator for Gwinnett County Department of Community Services, and I'm here with Carolyn Hill. Today is Friday, October 20th, 2023, and we are at the Gwinnett Environmental and Heritage Center located in Beaufort, Georgia. Ms. Hill, can you start by spelling your full name for the camera?
Okay, Carolyn, Carolyn, or Hill, Hill.
And can you tell us your birthday and where you were born?
June the 16th, 1942. I was born here in Gwinnett County, actually on the square in Lawrenceville.
Well, so I take it you and your family are lifelong residents of Gwinnett County?
We are.
How long have your family been in the Gwinnett area?
Oh, gee. Well, I don't know how many years, because we're part of the family, what is it, Family First? No.
First Families of Gwinnett?
Families of Gwinnett, whatever it is anyway. So several generations back, but I really don't know.
And where did your family live?
Before, Sewanee. Yeah, always Sewanee. Mm-hmm.
And what was your house like? You know, where you grew up, what was it like?
Yeah, I spent the first few years of my life, like 4 and 5 year old, with my grandparents, because my dad came back from Atlanta to help his dad when he got sick with cancer. And so then he began to build us a house, and in 1947, we built in the house there in Sewanee, and that's where I lived until I got married in 1961.
And so did your grandparents live in Sewanee as well?
Right next door.
Right next door, okay.
Yeah. There where the roundabout is in Sewanee now on Beaufort Highway.
Okay, yes.
The White House upon the hill was my grandmother's.
Okay.
After that, well, they tore the old house down and then built that one for her. So, yeah, we lived right next door to my grandparents.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And what were your grandparents like?
Well, my granddad was a sawmiller, and he had the nickname of Boss for some reason, because I guess he was a pretty good boss. I don't know. He was always very kind to me and allowed me to work around the sawmill. I loved it, and he would let me count the lumber that they had stacked up ready to go out. And probably he already knew exactly what was on the load, but I would get a quarter sometimes for doing that. So he was a real grandchild. He loved us being around. My grandmother, she had the name of Miss Effie, and she really was precise about what she wanted done. And so I loved being with her. She always carried me visiting with her when she went to visit the shut-ins, and we would carry flowers or the Home Life magazine or something like that. So anyway, I grew up being adored by grandparents.
Mm. Did you visit people in the local area with your
Sewanee?
In Sewanee? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
yeah,
that's
right
nice.
there in Sewanee. There weren't many of us, but there were some shut-ins,
Yeah.
and I remember several of them very well. And then grandmother was always responsible for putting flowers in the front of the church on Sundays, and so we didn't go call somebody at the florist or anything. You would go from yard to yard and gather up flowers to put on the front of the church. And Miss Wilbanks and Miss Rhodes, there were several that had beautiful flowers that we would cut, and that was her job. So I got to help her.
That's so nice.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of flowers?
Everything from Queen Anne's lace, which we would color different colors, and the zinnias, anything that was just sort of growing in their garden, they would share with us. Many times we'd have some marigolds that were very pretty too. So glads, you name it, just a general yard flower.
That's so nice. And you mentioned it was for the church that you attended.
Sewanee Baptist.
Sewanee Baptist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's right across the hill from the Sewanee Methodist Church. It's still there, but the Baptist Church is no longer there. In fact, I noticed yesterday that I think houses are being built there. Uh-huh. Big changes since I was going to church there.
Absolutely. And so you mentioned that your grandfather really and your grandmother enjoyed grandchildren. How many grandchildren
Did they have? I didn't count it up. Let's see. There was 4, 6, 8, I believe.
And they all lived in the area?
No,
Okay.
no. The 2 boys lived in Abbeville, and one in Lawrenceville, and I guess the rest of us lived in Swanee. So we would get together on special occasions, mostly with them. Now I had a larger family in Matt, Georgia. Do you know where Matt is near Cumming, Forsyth County? And my mom had 11 brothers and sisters. So when we got together, there was a lot of us, and we had a good time. And those grandparents were very, in fact, the neatest story that I love about the Pruitt family, which is my mom's family, is that grandmother had her flower garden outside her kitchen door. And my papa had his outside near the well house. And so when I would get ready to go home, each of them would go to their respective gardens and bring me a bouquet to carry home with me. And so as a result, I guess I've always just thought I had to have fresh flowers in my house, whether it's just something out of the yard or whatever. So they started that love for flowers for me.
That's wonderful. That is a really nice memory to have and see how it's continued with you throughout your life.
Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit more about your parents. What were their names and what were they like?
My dad's name was Benson Leonard Roberts, and Daddy was a sawmiller for a while because he helped Granddaddy, but then he later bought a trucking company, and they hauled the bread, Betsy Ross bread in Atlanta, Georgia, and he had trucks that would go all over the south part of the state. And then later did other Oxford and things like that. So that was a big treat to get to ride with Daddy in the big truck and blow the horn. You know, the kids like to do that. And then my mom, she was a housewife. In fact, I love this story too. Whenever I was born, my mother was a hairdresser, and she loved her work. And so she was, I think, intending just to go back to work. And Daddy announced to her one afternoon that he said, well, if you're going to continue to work, I'm not, because one of us is going to stay home with this little girl. And it still makes me cry, because it was a special thing, but Mama quit. She didn't. She stayed home with me.
That's so sweet. Well, tell us any more memories you have of being young in Swanee and growing up in that area. And
yeah, well, my mother was a strong woman. She had done an awful lot of work around the city of Swanee, and she was chair of the Georgia Power Beautification Committee at that time. It was in the 50s, I guess. And no, it was before that. But anyway, she developed bone cancer on her right knee, and because of that, had to have her leg amputated. So when I was 12 years old, I pretty much was the caretaker at the house, and she eventually was able to walk very well with the prosthetic leg and lived to be 86 years old. So she was, in fact, many people didn't even know that she had an artificial leg, but so she was a strong woman and gave a lot of inspiration to the whole family.
Do you have any siblings?
I have one brother. He actually died when he was 55, though. He had leukemia. And Joe was one that I was sort of supposed to take care of, I think, all the time. So I always would tease him and tell him he never did anything. I had to do all of his work because Daddy had lots of gardens around and grass to be cut and things like that. So we worked, but I loved it. I loved it.
And so you mentioned gardens. What sort of things did your family grow in the gardens?
Oh, well, summer things. More like tomatoes and cabbage, not cabbage, cabbage is winter. Well, phooey. Squash is what I was trying to think of. Green beans, lima beans, corn, those kind of southern crops. And he had enough that he usually shared with everybody in the neighborhood. And so Daddy made a joy, a game out of everything we did. Like if we were gathering, we would compete to see who could get the most, or we would finish at a certain time and then go play a little while. Or he always had a game going with everything that we did. So it was not work, it was fun.
That's really smart.
He had a gift at that,
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Oh. Well, tell us about school. What school did you attend? What was it like?
Yeah, I went to Swanee School, and at that time, it's where the bus terminal is now. They're in Swanee, where they, I guess, repair buses or something. But it had all, 12 grades, yeah, at that time. And until the consolidation in 1958, when North Gwinnett came out of the Swanee group and consolidated. So I was there through first grade through ninth grade, yeah.
And then you went to...
No, through 10th grade, first through 10th, yeah. Then I went to North Gwinnett, that's right.
And what was it like going to North Gwinnett in its very beginning?
Yeah, very exciting. We had two people from the city of Sugar Hill, Abby Kelly and her husband, John Kelly. And they thought it was important that the Swanee people and the Sugar Hill people knew each other before we started the school. So they had a party for us. And it was exciting to think about new classmates because we were pretty small in Swanee. It wasn't a very big school. And anyway, the party let us know each other. Excuse me. So when we got there, first day of school, it was not that bad, but we loved it. And that was a good day for me because that was the time that I first saw Dwayne Hill. He was walking down the hall. I remember it very clearly. My kids think this is funny, but I remember it very well because he had a new shirt on, and he tells me later that his mom went to Sears once a year and bought him 3 shirts, and they had to last his whole school year. So we weren't a very affluent area at all. But he had that, and he had his, we called them dungarees, and he rolled them up just enough that those nice white socks would show. And he was walking down the hall, and I remember seeing him that day. So it was a special day.
Wow.
He was looking good.
So how long was it before y'all got to know each other? And
Oh, it wasn't very long. He actually invited me to go to a movie, and at that time you went to drive-in movies. There was one downtown Beaufort, but we never did go there. I don't know whether it had already closed or what, but anyway, we went to the drive-in, and it was an event to go to a movie. We didn't go to things. We didn't go out to eat. We didn't go to movies. We had a very quiet house, at that time. But anyway, we started going together, and I guess we pretty much started going steady soon after that. In that day, when the guys got a class ring, then the girls wore it. I put wax in mine because I didn't want tape on it, and I wore his class ring all through senior year. So I guess he never wore it very much. So, but that's what you did. You wore the class ring, and we stayed together. Very junior year, senior year, and then I went away 1 year to college to West Georgia. And the only reason I went to West Georgia, this is pretty bad, but that was the only school in the area that would let you come home after the first week. Everybody else, you had to stay a month. I didn't want to stay a month away from the wine, so I had to get back. So anyway, it turned out to be a good school. I made some great friends there. And we then got married soon after I finished 1 year.
Oh. You mentioned the drive-in theater that you would go to dates on. Where, because you said you didn't go to the one in Beaufort. Where did y'all go?
Well, it was in Sugar Hill.
Oh,
You go out Highway 20 toward Cumming, and it was on the left out there. And there's a church there now. It may still be there. I don't know, but Lighthouse Church is right there on that property, I think. So. It was rather big. It was a big deal.
Do you remember what the first movie was that you all
saw?
saw?
I have no idea. Okay. No, I don't. I don't have any idea.
Well, and I know you said that life was very quiet in Swanee and Sugar Hill, but what other sorts of things would you have done with your friends or family for fun?
Oh, well, for dating even, I'll go back to that. Sunday night church, that's what you did. You went to church together. And as a result, I knew a lot of the Sugar Hill people whenever we got married because he had carried me to his church, which was Sugar Hill Baptist, and then he would come to my church at Swanee Baptist sometimes, and that was it. But as far as what would we do as far as my friends, Beaufort had a swimming pool. Lawrenceville had a swimming pool. I would get to go to Lawrenceville and stay with my cousins and go swimming there, but Mother would take us sometimes to Beaufort. So it was a very rare treat, though, to get to go and enjoy that. But we did a lot of basketball playing. I was cutting grass one day at the house, and a new basketball coach came by, and he said, "Come here, girl." And I went to him, of course, and he said, "You play basketball?" I said, "Well, a little bit." He said, "You're going to play a lot more. I like grass cutters." So that was Mr. McDaniel. We had a good time playing basketball because it was what you did.
So you played basketball in high school?
Oh, yes. In fact, we went to state tournament twice. So we didn't win, but we went. And we had a really, really good time. Yeah.
Did you participate in any other extracurricular activities?
Everything that was offered.
Oh, tell us what
we
sorts
had no
of things?
We had no football or anything like that. We had one act play. We had declamation. We had debate. We had what else did we have? Glee club, chorus. You know, those are the kind of things we had. But yeah, if they said you want to be involved, my hand would go up. I loved everything. Still do.
And just thinking back to the schools that you went to in Gwinnett County and how the schools are now, what are some of the similarities or differences between how the schools look, how they operate?
Yeah.
Anything that you can think of that?
Yeah. Well, of course, the school was so small. Everybody knew everybody. And my mother was there a lot because she was a room mother. And she brought icebox cookies. Every holiday we had, they would let her come in and give us cookies. And so all the teachers knew all about me, and they would talk to Mother and everything. And so there was no uneasiness about anything. You just were all working together kind of feeling. The school had very few resources. I remember when we first got a library, they let the students come in and help stock the shelves, because we were thrilled to death to have a library at the school, and that would not happen today. You know, we are very abundantly blessed with educational materials and money for education. It was hard at that time, and I'm sure the school board worked hard to even get us what we had. We had a wonderful Mr. Farmer who was our principal for a while, and he did a great job. They all worked hard, and this shows you one way we were so poor. Mr. McDaniel was our principal. He was also our ball coach, and he also took care of the money that came into the school. I'm not sure how they got it, but anyhow, whenever he had to make a deposit, he would send me to Duluth, which is where we banked, because I knew how to drive a straight shift, and the other kids didn't know how to drive a straight shift. I don't think I had driver's license. I think I was younger than 16. So anyhow, you see how things were just very, very different. But I would go and deposit the money.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
And then I worked for Mr. Bagwell when we went to North Gwinnett. And in fact, Wayne still hasn't forgiven me of this. I got credit for, not history, government, because I didn't go to class. And he just thought that was terrible. He was just jealous, that's all it was. But a different world.
You mentioned the first library. That was at the
Swanee.
At Swanee. And do you remember what year that would have been?
Oh, gee, it had to be, no.
Or what age roughly you would have been?
Yeah, I was roughly 5th grade,
Okay.
4th or 5th grade. Yeah.
Do you remember what did it look like? Was it a new room? Was it
No. It was a room that had been retrofitted for a library, not even a third as big as this. I mean, very small. very small.
And what kind of books?
Well, just the usual things, novels for kids to read. We did have encyclopedias, of course, but now those would not be looked at. No need for them. But just a general to get kids started reading more. Now, I had the advantage. I had an aunt who was a first grade teacher in Clayton, not Clayton. Anyway, close by. And she would give me books when she had them. And as a teacher, she would get books. And so I had an abundance of books at my house, but all children did not. And that's a big difference. Kids were working, lots of them, and it was just a different philosophy. School was important, but not as important as eating, maybe, as they had to take care of their home and everything. So I'm very thankful for our good school system today.
Absolutely.
And my kids have all gone through North Gwinnett, and my little kids now are still in the Gwinnett system. They go to Level Creek right there behind my house, so I get to see them sometimes. And so Gwinnett has a good school system.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, you made me think of two more questions. I should have written it down.
No.
You mentioned, well, I'll ask the next question. Oh, I know what it was. What was your first job? Because I know you, of course, helped out around the house and all of that, but what was your first official job?
You know, I never really had a chance to do a job because I was taking care of the house. I started doing all the cooking at 12 years of age and washing. But one weekend, my friend Claire Davis, who was my friend from first grade all the way, and she still is my good friend today, we went to Limburner's nursery, and they were selling tulips. They needed some little girls to walk around with dresses and aprons on. So we did that for several weekends. I counted that my favorite job because we got paid to do that, and we had a good time.
And where was that nursery?
Down at Chamonix Tucker Road.
Okay.
Yeah.
How neat.
But her daddy would take us down there, and that was a special treat to get to petal tulips.
And how old would
We
you?
were probably 13, I guess. Yeah, because it was about a year after Mom. All of her, 13, 14. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about after you and Wayne were married.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you end up living? And
Okay. Yeah. We got married at the Sugar Hill Baptist Church. And it was an event of the year. It was a big deal. And we rented the end of a house from the Leonard Miller family in Beaufort. It's right straight across from where the skating rink is now, Beaufort Highway. And it was a wonderful, because they adopted us as children, practically. Mr. Miller had chicken houses, and so Wayne would help with gathering cleaning the chickens out. Something, I didn't do it, he did it. So anyway, they would reduce the rent a little bit. And so they found out that we were going to have Jody. She was our first child. They cut it another $10. So we started out paying $40, then we went to $35, and then I think it ended up at $30. So, but it's a very different day, as you can imagine.
yes. Mm-hmm. What year did you say that would have been?
1961.
Wow. Rent only being $30, and you said that's a month, right?
Oh yeah.
That's
Of
incredible.
course, I made curtains for them, and we did. But Mr. Miller taught me how to cut up a chicken and how to make caramel cake.
Ooh.
And everybody didn't make caramel cake where you burn the sugar or you melt it, and I still make it today. So
That's
Wayne
awesome.
says not often enough, but I still make it.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so your first child was born, and you have how many children?
We have 3 children. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how long did you live there, and when did you move?
We lived there about 4 years, I guess, and then built a house in Swanee, right across from where we live now on Swanee Dam Road. We had been looking for property. We thought we wanted to be on the lake, and then that didn't work out. Well, Mr. Sims was in the hospital who owned the property where we wanted to be, and he needed money to pay his bill. you didn't have insurance at that time to cover things like that. And so he let us buy from one end to 5 acres. And Wayne can tell you exactly what we paid for it, but it was like, I think $300 or $400 an acre. It wasn't very much, but we literally cleared it by ourselves. And Daddy had a tractor, and yeah, that's what you did, And then Wayne got Mr. Humphrey to build our house, basically, and then we finished it out. So it was good times.
Wow.
Good time. Lots of hard work.
And so you both finished it out yourselves?
Well, mostly him, but I helped.
What all did that involve?
Well, like the floors were not finished, and so we had to lay floor, and we had to finish the floor, and there was no painting done in parts of it. Then, I don't know, the zoning was not they didn't make you finish before, so we just finished it afterwards. And then there was no wall in the dining area, I remember, but there were just bits and pieces that we had to finish up, and the stairs to the basement and things like that.
And how long did y'all live there?
32 years. And then we he had the opportunity to buy the other property. So we have about 25 acres there in Swanee. And he was able to have the house built the next time, though. And so that's where we've been the last, 30 years, I guess. We've been married 62 years, so that'd be about right, wouldn't it? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And was there ever any thought of moving anywhere else, or did you always want to stay?
Swanee is home.
Mm-hmm.
It was really interesting when Wayne was in politics. Everybody thought he lived in Beaufort. We never lived. Well, we rented in Beaufort briefly, but we were never part of the Beaufort. I've always been in Swanee, and he came to join me from Sugar Hill, but that's where he grew up, was in Sugar Hill, so not too far.
Well, I know that you have been involved in a lot of organizations throughout the years.
I didn't realize how many till I pulled out my resume. Did I hand it to you?
Quite possibly.
I don't know whether I did or not. I probably did not. But anyway, I don't know how I had time to cook. And Wayne says I didn't very much, but I really did. But I got the opportunity to be in a lot of organizations, from Red Cross to the hospital, Cancer Society. I was there a long time. In fact, the best thing I got to do at the American Cancer Society was I taught women how to do breast self-exam, and then we were able to give them a free mammogram whenever they did that. That was through the Red Cross Health Fair. And so there were women who were able to find out they had a problem through our health fairs. So it was a good thing. We used a lot of volunteers and did a lot of things. But anyway, lots of opportunities to serve.
And how, was there a particular organization that you've felt most
closest to?
Yeah, closest to, or?
Well, it was whatever I was with at the moment, I guess. But I did do a lot with American Cancer Society. I was the board chair for, I don't know, several years, and saw it grow and do really, really good. The hospital has been close to my heart when it was just Lawrenceville Hospital. And I came off the board before Northside, the merger. But the women's effort, I got an award that I'd forgotten about, the Pavilion Award. And it was because I had done the breast self-exam training. But then it caused me to get even more interested in women's issues through the hospital. And the Women's Pavilion was built. And we're still working on our new one. I'm still working behind the scenes, trying to get that to do. So we have a lot of women in Gwinnett.
Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, that's fantastic. What are some other things that you're just really proud of being able to contribute to here in Gwinnett County?
Well, I've have 3 adorable, delightful children who are kind and honest, and they're good citizens. So I guess I'm most proud of that. Also, I was able to help Wayne with all of his campaigns. I sort of was his campaign chair, so I worked a lot getting to know people in Gwinnett And so I'm proud of that because I think he did an excellent job and served the county well. In fact, I tell people every penny that he spent through the county, he treated it like it was his own, and he spent hours working to be sure that it was done well. And then I guess the other things would be my involvement with my church, because church has been important to me since I was, well, I have a little note that was sent to me that was typed. The note was about this big from a Miss Lockridge. She was my teacher whenever I was in, 3-year-olds or something. And she said, my prayer is that Jesus will enter your heart at a young age. And it's just such a touching thing to me. She put that in her typewriter and typed that out. Why she did it that way, I don't know, but I saved it. But needless to say, church has been a huge part of my life and our family's life. And I just wouldn't take anything for it because it allowed me to grow. It allowed me to learn things I wouldn't have learned any other way, and then to also be able to serve my Savior.
Absolutely. And there's a story about, oh, I'm sorry, I can't read my own handwriting now. The influence that the Sugar Hill Baptist Church had on the community.
Yes. Oh, well, Sugar Hill Baptist Church was sort of the center of the community. And I love this because when the shoe shop would have revival, it was across the street from the Sugar Hill Church, and the owner there, Mr. Higgins, would allow all the employees to come to revival. And it was like, I don't know, 10 o'clock in the morning or something. And that's the closeness that was there. Whenever the church had trouble and we needed more rooms, the school opened their rooms and we would have our Sunday school classes there. So communities sort of worked together. There was no strict, I guess, division of anything. So the church was a huge influence in the community. You know, that's the church that burned too. You may not know that, but it did. And after we had built a new church. Okay. So.
And when did that church burn?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask that, and I don't know what year it was. I'm not good on the exact years, but long time ago. It had already been bought out by a Korean congregation, owned it at the time. So it just popped into my head that burning was a very traumatic thing for all of us because we had worked hard on that church too. Right. Wayne was sort of on the building committee there, so he was busy with air conditioners and roofing and everything that had to be done. So we were involved in everything.
And are there any childhood memories that stand out about either Sugar Hill or Swanee?
A childhood memory. Oh, I guess this is a pretty good one. My daddy had a hayfield up where the library is in Swanee, and he evidently was short on hands that day, and couldn't have been 10, 11 years old. I was short, and so he put a box in his hay truck and taught me it was a floor shift, and taught me how to change gear so that I could go through the hayfield, and he and the guys could load up the hay and carry it to the farm up there. So it was it's just what you did. You did what you had to do to take care of things. And I loved every minute of being right with the daddy, whatever he did.
Is that how you learned how to drive then?
It is. That's the day I did.
Wow.
And then he had a pickup truck that was straight shift. And then we didn't have garbage pickup. So my granddaddy had a farm, excuse me, up on Brogdon Road. So that's where we would carry. And we had a little dump up there where we carried. And I would drive up and one day my friend Claire and I got backed into the dump and we couldn't get it in the right gear to get out. And I remember we were a little bit scared, but
how did you?
Well, we finally got it. She would hold the accelerator and I was doing the brake, and we figured it out. So Claire and I had a lot of good figuring out times. We had good times together. She was a great basketball player. I was a passer. And so she could shoot it in like a set shot, and I would pass it to her. So we had a good time together.
And you said that you're still close friends?
We're still close friends.
Does she live nearby?
She lives in Sugar Hill.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
What about when you were younger? Did you have anything specific you thought you wanted to be when you grew up?
Well, my aunt was a nurse, and so whenever she would go to disaster, Red Cross nursing, we would go with her to North Carolina. And I just thought, that sounded like just a really good thing to do. Never did turn out where it was the right thing for me to do. But you know what? I look back at my life today, I would not change one thing. I'm where I'm supposed to be, and my life has been so blessed and so many opportunities. I couldn't redo it and make it any better. So nursing, I might do someday. I don't know. I mean, I do a lot of it anyway.
I was going to say
with all the grandchildren.
That too, but through all of the organizations that you've been involved with, healthcare has obviously been something that you've been really passionate about. And
I've done a lot of first aid care and classes and things like that. I love going now to the assisted livings and nursing homes. We have a group that goes on Monday morning. We call it the Monday Ministry. And I play the piano and we sing and then we tell the jokes and make the people feel good for a little while. And so that's part of a ministry that allows me to continue to give.
That's great. Yeah. Well, are there any things that stick out to you? I know that Gwinnett has changed a tremendous amount. Is there anything in particular that sticks out that that has changed in your time in Gwinnett County? And
yeah, very much. Health care. We are very, very fortunate to have the health care of the level and quality we have, and so accessible for us, because we grew up, if you wanted to go to the hospital, you had to go all the way into Atlanta, of course. In fact, my mother even carried me downtown Atlanta to have my teeth worked on. And it was not an easy thing. Today you have things within walking distance almost. And then certainly with Northside and the hospital, we have an abundance of care right here at our fingertips. So that's a big change. Of course, in the traffic, I know everybody says the traffic. Wayne's dad used to tell him, Wayne, I've tried to pull out of the driveway today and there was 5 cars that came before I could get out. And he said, well, Daddy, everywhere you see 5, you're going to see 5 more next week. So, traffic is something you just have to learn to get used to. And I choose my time of day that I travel, and when I can. Now, you can't come into work, but anyway, that's a big change. That's a big change. And it's probably not going to get any better.
Can you tell us about the co-op?
Yes. What year was it? 1991. I had, when Wayne was campaigning, I started doing the cabinet shop work, excuse me, full time. And she came into my office that day, and Geraldine Cates did. She was with the Sugar Hill Methodist Church. Ted Poole had decided it was time for our area to have something of that nature. And the community council had made plans for certain zip codes to be responsible for certain areas. Ours was Sugar Hill, Swanee, and Beaufort. And so she said, I'm needing to work on this. Ted wants me to. Will you help? And I said, well, yeah. So we hit the ground running. We started out with, I think, 13 churches. But we decided we didn't want just churches. We wanted civic organizations, business organizations, and government officials. And so as a result, the co-op just began to grow and grow. And we went to other co-ops. So there was one at Norcross that was the oldest, and found out what they were doing. No need to redo it if you can copy it, So that turned out to be good. And now the co-op is just under Kim Phillips' leadership. It is just going great guns. And in fact, there's more need today than we've had in probably since COVID. It's really increasing because think about it, groceries are so expensive and people are not donating like they once were. But I've been assigned the job of prayer chairman now. During COVID, I was too old to come in to work. They didn't want old people and afraid we'd get sick, I think. But anyway, so I have the job of being prayer chairman, and that's what I do today. We have prayer requests that come in. Now you wouldn't be surprised. There are lots of hurting people who need help. One was last week that just got my heart was my daughter and I need a shelter over our heads. They had no place to sleep. We have homeless people, you know, and co-op does a little bit to help that, but we don't have the resources to do it completely. But it's a good organization. Since 1991, been going strong. Mm-hmm.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we're going to think of other things.
Well, and let me add one thing to the co-op story. It started out in Sugar Hill underneath a barbershop, just an empty building. And the city of Beaufort, anytime they would have an empty building, because they would build another, you know how Beaufort does it, they build another one, they would let us have their bigger building. So we've been in the city hall, we've been in the school, in the library, we went into the central office, anyway, and they were able to let us do that. So we were able to save money when we would get some, and so then we were able to start financing a new place when it became available. So City of Beaufort has been a tremendous help. 1994, I guess, Wayne's Rotary was starting new Rotary clubs around the county. Excuse me. So Ed Radford came to my house and asked me if I would start the Rotary Club in Beaufort, North Gwinnett. And I said yes. So today it's now called Rotary Club of North Gwinnett, and we meet at the City Hall of Swanee. So that's been a long endeavor too.
You've contributed so much to our community. It's incredible.
You're kind. It's to me. I mean, it gives me good feelings. And I get to meet, right now I stay in Rotary because I am the oldest, I guess, but I get to be with young people. And you know, if you stay with old people all the time, you don't want that. So I get to be with young people and do things with them. So it's a good thing.
Well, are there any other stories or memories that we haven't touched on that you'd like to share?
You've done a great job, and right now I don't have my notes with me, so I can't think of anything. You've made it fun for me. Thank you for letting me do it.
I'm so glad. Well, I have one more question for you. Having been a lifelong Gwinnett resident, do you have any hopes for Gwinnett's future, or if you could tell future Gwinnetians, give them some advice, what would that be?
It seems that our world is in such turmoil today. If we could just be kind to each other, right where you are, you know, each one of us just be kind. I think it could make a difference, maybe all over the world. People are not kind like they used to be in Gwinnett. I hate to say that, but it's just an angry world it sees. Even when you go to the grocery store, there's an anger there that hasn't always been, and it makes me real sad. I saw a young man the other day was giving change to a lady. You know, we older ladies, we carry our change. I don't, but some of them carry their money with them, and they count out exactly the right amount of money. And she was having trouble with it, and he was so kind to her. He was helping her count it and everything. And it made me think, okay, if I need to be more kind, no matter where I am, if it's in the grocery store or a restaurant or anything. But just people won't always be nice to you, but you can be nice to others. And I think it would make the world better. Gwinnett County first, and then
absolutely.
would affect the whole world, maybe.
I think that's a wonderful aspiration for the future of Gwinnett County, and especially from all the wonderful stories that you've shared with us today about Gwinnett's history and how it's come to be what it is today. So thank you so much for sharing your stories and for giving up your time and being here with us today.
Oh, absolutely. Gwinnett will not quit growing. You know, people come and they see what we've got, and it's a good thing. And so we're going to continue to grow, and many things are much, much better with the growth. We just got to be kind to each other. So thank you for having me. It's been fun.